entering Glacier National Park in Montana, which was established in 1910. One of the problems with the park was very poor access. So they spent 20 years designing and building a road, which was dedicated in 1933 at a cost of $2.4 million. The road was not designed just to get from point A to point B. It was designed at a much higher cost and effort to harmonize with the landscape in such a way as to be almost unseen. It is one of the world's most scenic highways. It is 50 miles from Glacier to St. Mary's, with Logan Pass at 6,646 feet being its highest point. As a newspaper reporter from Missoula wrote, "It is a marvel transversing a marvel." This is some serious country. That's why I had to do it. Wasn't planning on coming up here. Then it was, what's another 2 hours? What's another 2 hours? What's another 2 hours? The only negative is I have to backtrack all that way, but it's worth it. I mean, look. Like wow. Not exactly Ohio. Man. Larry and I hiked from Logan Pass, which is up at the top here. I think it was a 10-mile hike down along the ridge line. That was probably one of the highlights of my life. It was spectacular. The only negative was it was the first hike of the trip and the legs were not quite in shape. So that night it was tough getting out of the car. In Glacier National Park a couple of years ago with Jerry in the credit union trip we've taken. They took it's about a 25 passenger van. Trouble was it was too long and they wouldn't allow that size of a vehicle to go over this road. So we had to circumvent the whole park. You still see some neat things, but no road to the sun. You can kind of see why driving a big long vehicle here would not be the greatest. And I know, Cher, I shouldn't be filming this road either, but we're going slow. Worst that could happen would be a fender bender. Okay, that is Bird Woman Falls, 493 feet waterfall. This gives you a little perspective of where we are, however. The huge Ice Age glacier came down through here and carved it all out. Again, Logan Pass is through that gap right there. Anyway, you start your hike, and right along this ridge line is where you hike. You go along here, and then it kind of follows this road down around the edge. Like I said, probably the best hike I ever had. That's probably 15 years ago. Sherry probably remembers this. They had a porta-john chained to a tree on this road, one of these little pull-offs like this. Sherry had to go pretty bad, so she decided to go in that. And I went over and shook it because it was right on the cliff, and she was not a happy girl. So that didn't go over too good. We were here with the wine gardeners that year. Can't imagine why. Another thing about this place, this road is not even open until a lot of times early July due to the snow. They have a surveyor come out, and he has to survey and let the road graders know where the road is so they don't go over the side. Man, there may be one of those snow things up at the top. There usually is. It just shoots the snow up over the side here. What country, huh? Like I said, I wasn't planning on coming here, but I just couldn't resist it. Look at that little stream there. It just goes down, down, down into the valley. I was lucky how things have changed. So many people have discovered national parks, I guess. I drove all the way up here and it said you had to have a car pass even to get in. Up until 3 p.m. Luckily, it was 3 p.m. Of course, then the road was 10 miles of gravel, but aside from that, pretty lucky. Yeah, the glacier that formed this valley back in the Pleistocene epoch. Sounds pretty good, huh? That was about 10,000 years ago. That's when it retreated and the earth warmed up. But look what it did. What happens is the ice goes along, you get rock falls, and the rocks get embedded in the ice, and then they act like huge scrubbers that scrub along the side even more and scour it more, and more ice comes down, or rocks come down, and it's a pretty tough process. Okay, that is Mount Cannon. It's almost 9,000 feet. And that over there is Heaven's Peak. And it is 52 feet higher. So that was pretty much level across there until the old glacier came ripping through. Over here, that is called a hanging valley, right in there. What that is, there was a glacier, a smaller glacier that came through that area, and then this big glacier came by and intersected it and chopped it off. So it's kind of hanging up there. So at one time, that was its own glacier that intersected the big one. Hanging. We're still going up. Getting near Logan Pass. Gives you a little feel for how long that hike was. The only good thing is it was downhill, but a lot of times downhill hikes, your old hip flexors get wiped out. I know a lot of people would rather go uphill than down. Also, on the way up here today, I passed a bicyclist with a death wish. Can you imagine that narrow road? There's hardly room for 2 cars, let alone a bicycle in there. As Dad would say, holy gee. Okay, there's a shuttle bus that takes you the opposite of way Larry and I went. Here's the map. Here's where we are at Logan Pass. And this is the trail. You go along the ridge there, and then it goes up around to Granite Park Chalet. You can get little, like, they just have candy bars up in there. It's a real neat looking stone building. And then this is the killer. It kind of switchbacks all the way down to the loop, and that's where you pick the bus up and they bring you back up. So that was the hike. Well, for old time's sake, I'm going to start the hike. Obviously, don't have time to complete it, but when Larry and I did it around the corner here, we came on a herd of mountain goats. Kind of a funny animal. They look big, but they have this little high-pitched voice, which you wouldn't expect out of that size of an animal. Ah, the pine. You can outrun any old bear. Here's something pretty cool. Call that bear grass. Not sure why, but those puffballs you see all the time. There's a lot of them. The ones over here haven't flowered out yet. Over there, the yellow is columbine. Have to zoom in for Sherry. That's her favorite flower, columbine. The air quality, not too bad. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Okay, this gives you a little bit of a feel here. You go down and then you wind up that line right there going across. That's what you follow. Behind this butte over here on the left. And then you go right there up and over. So you want to talk about some serious nice views. You see marmots on the way, little chippies. See some mountain goats, bighorn sheep. Saw 5 or 6 bighorn sheep sitting in the grass. I have a real good picture down in my basement that I took when I was with Sherry that year. This is the part that Sherry would like. You don't want to slip to the left too much. It usually doesn't end well. But they've got this nice little green handle you can hold on to if you're scared. But you can see that's where you go. You go up over that cut. Oops. Up over that cut there. And since this rock has been here for billions of years, it's probably not going to break off. hopefully. Down there are the cars. There's the remnants of a little snow. Oh, brings back memories. LP, do you remember this trail? If I recall, you did pretty good on this though, really. You didn't have a problem at all. Little different angle. Logan Pass in the background. Highline Trail. What this is. Round the corner. Here's a goodie. Look at that. That's a nice GNEISS, something like that. Anyway, it's a type of more metamorphic rock. So this was maybe 10 miles under the earth, and all the pressure and the heat foliates the rock. In other words, it gets it into bands and waves, and it can be from sandstone, but you can see how it's all compressed. The rock never gets liquid, but it gets real pliable. So then when it gets forced more toward the surface, it cools and solidifies into this stuff. And then a gazillion years later, here it is at the surface. And one day it'll be all eroded down into the valley and back into the sea. Amazing process. Also, this particular rock in this area is a mafic type of rock. You see how dark it is. It doesn't have much silica in it. So this was probably made from like muds and sandstone with a lot of micas in it, and it was compressed. And again, you can see the waviness, the foliation, and that is super hard. Hard to believe this was deep in the earth at one time. We've got our ubiquitous lichens. yellow and orange. Surprisingly, those are a sign of good air generally. You would think the opposite. And I'm coming up upon a little wildflower patch. And I believe that is mountain lupine, the purplish flower that you see a lot. Here are some still pictures taken along the Highline Trail in the Granite Park Chalet. Just a truckin' along, just a singing a song. Making progress. Again, I had to foreshorten the old hike. Considering I left Missoula this morning at 6 o'clock and drove up to Flathead Lake and took a 2-hour jet ski around the lake. That's a 40-mile long lake. Huge. And then decided to give this a shot. So the good news is it doesn't get dark till about 9:30. So that allowed me to do this. And I was also lucky when I got here, I saw a sign that said you had to have a car pass to get in the park. But after 3 o'clock, you could get in. And I arrived at exactly 3 o'clock. So, little good fortune there. It is kind of strange this year. It's the first time I've ever been up here that there haven't been mountain goats or sheep. Usually they're, particularly the goats, are all over the place. So I don't know what the deal is. This is probably earlier than any time I've been here. I usually like to come more in the fall when other people are, or kids are in school. So it's not quite as busy. Everything is super green. The pine beetle hasn't gotten up here, at least not in this area yet, to kill the pine trees. That's a real shame. I guess it came from, I think they said Russia a good while ago, but there was a woodpecker that kind of kept the control over there, but they're afraid to introduce that woodpecker because that's just another foreign species that you're adding, and with its problems, so it might squeeze out some other bird. So what sometimes seems like a good idea doesn't work out that good. A squirrel or a yellow-bellied marmot? Yep, it's a marmot. He took off. There he is. Yellow-bellied marmot. Like a fat squirrel. They're used to people though. They don't get spooked very easy. Now, little buddy. Ooh. What you doing? You're the prettiest little marmot in all the world. To steal one of Larry's lines. He's not a happy guy. Little bear grass in the foreground. Yellow belly marmot. That looks like a sedimentary rock. I guess it's possible. All of North America used to be on its side down near the equator. Then as it moved north, this part of the west was under a shallow sea. So you can see the layers of sediment over the years, and it looks like that top cap, they may have had a flood that brought in those materials from far away from here, and that's why it's different looking, and laid it down that layer. So it's like it's harder than the other, so it hasn't eroded away as much. Yeah, here's a little better map of the trail, the Highline Trail. This is Logan Pass where I'm parked. Then we started here, you kind of go down, and this is along that ridge where the drop off. So you go along here, and then this is that butte, Haystack Butte I pointed out. You go behind it, and you keep following this ridge. The Grinnell Glaciers, you can't see it. It's over top of this bridge. So you go along here, pretty much on the flank of this ridge along here. You keep going, and then you get up here to Granite Park Chalet, which is, like I said, a real pretty stone building. You can actually stay there if you make reservations. It's real rustic, just wooden bunks. You bring your sleeping bag. And then from here, it's pretty switchbacky, particularly from this point down. From this point down, you're wanting to be done. But you keep going. This shows a little the profile of it. So you start out probably 66, 100 feet is Logan Pass. So you go along, you get up to over 7,000, then it dips down, then you kind of go up a little bit to the chalet, and then down to the loop. So it is 12 miles. So that's nothing for Adam, but the man's an animal. You're gonna have to do this one, Adam. I know you'd like it. He made it alive. And look at all his gear. Now that is a battle. What a man. He's not going to turn around and go back down.
I run on ice cream.
Okay, well.
We'll go get some.
All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Waterfall along this road. Whoa, way too zoomed. Way too zoomed. Don't you know I'm taking pictures here? I think I do have a descendant. There's our old guys. Even got a little guy. Bedding down for the night, I guess. Beautiful fir tree. And again, these are mostly sedimentary rocks under an ocean. Is that believable or not? Wow. What can you say? Under an ocean, pushed up, and then eroded down. If I remember right, the red rocks, they're aerobic. In other words, they've kind of rusted. And the same rock that's green is anaerobic. So it never oxidized, showing red. Pretty good skipper. There's the same scow ring that I saw in Black Magic Canyon on the second day of the trip down in southern Idaho. Looks like pretty good fishing. Ah, love that sound. Our ancestors must have been seagoing people too. Love the water. There it is in action. Particularly if there's some during flood stage and there's small rocks that are suspended in the water and they hit those walls, they can really speed up the erosion process. Okay, McDonald Lodge. Here are the resort buses. The old famous red bus tour. And they're Fords. A white truck. Number 99, 104. I'm not sure how many they have. Ah. Here's a little shifting gears. 1914, 1927, 1936. These are 2002. 33 of the original 1936-37 white buses were refurbished. Refurbished? Huh. This is the famous Red Jammer buses. It's a fleet of 33 buses that were originally built in 1936. So they are the oldest touring fleet in the world. Each bus can take 16 people in 4 rows of bench seats. They're painted red, the color of the mountain ashberry. White Motor Company originally built the buses, but in 1999 they were taken out of service and sent to the Ford Motor Company, who refurbished the buses at a cost of $6 million. They're now each worth $250,000. When refurbished, they had a new V8 bi-fuel engine, which uses propane, and the new chassis on top of the original wheelbase. It took them 3 years. The name Jammer came about when the drivers were shifting gears going up the steep mountain slopes. They had to jam their gears into position, so they became known as jammers.